again, everyone. The music you hear playing below me right now is from a soundtrack to a movie called Inception. The soundtrack was written by Hans Zimmer, and this particular piece is called Time. It's become a very, very popular piece in its own right, which is kind of odd for soundtrack tracks within a movie, because usually the soundtrack supports the movie, not lives in its own right. But here, this particular piece is quite powerful. I'd like you to take a moment and listen to some of it with me, because there's a story to tell about it next. Now, in my opinion, and I guess others as well, it's typical, this piece of music for soundtracks. A grand, sweeping piece of music with strings soaring and counter melodies happening in the background. And certainly in the movie, it comes at a very poignant point for those of you who have seen it. However, there's another reason I wanted you to hear this original, because there was another version of this piece played very recently in Ukraine by a young pianist who only goes by the name of Alex online. And he plays this piece in a particular setting which you'd never expect. He plays it in the middle of a Ukraine train station while the air raid sirens are screaming, warning of an impending attack by Russian forces. Rather than flee, he stays. And rather than just simply staying there, he plays this piece of music while the air raid sirens blare in the background, as you'll see in a moment. And it almost is defiant in its own way. But we'll talk about that in a second. Have a listen to it. I don't know if there's really much point in me going on. Some of you will infer from what you've just seen the tragic beauty that music can speak to others. And in the midst of that situation, when the air raid sirens are going off and he's playing loudly, almost louder than the sirens in the video, there is a certain defiance toward it, that instead of impending destruction coming, he's countering it with something beautiful. Tragic beauty, perhaps you might say, because of the situation. And in Lent, where the church is right now, beauty isn't often a word used to describe the aspects of Lent. We talk about penance, and we talk about fasting, and we talk about introspection. Beauty isn't always what comes to mind right away when you hear those words. This coming Sunday, which is, for those who are counting, the 5th Sunday of Lent, there's another, you might say, tragically beautiful situation when Mary anoints Jesus when he comes to her house with perfume. And the image of her stooped down, bowed before him, doing this beautiful thing which others find indignant, speaks to me of tragic beauty where, well, I don't know if I could explain it. Maybe there aren't words to convey meaning to images and music as we just heard. Maybe we just have to take those, and as I've been talking about pondering them, maybe just let these sit. I cried when I first saw Alex playing in the station, and sometimes people have talked to me about crying at particularly important scripture readings. Maybe we should hold these two tragically beautiful things up and recognize that there are other, sometimes tragically, but certainly very beautiful things around us in the world. And as spring is coming in its own way, physically out of the ground, we'll begin to see them. Tragic beauty still has value, just the same. And I think we have to recognize it. I hope you found this moving, to be honest. Talk to you soon.